Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Narayanam Namaskritya. Narayanam Namaskritya. Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Mojayanti Raye. Mojayanti Raye. Ashtakaya Shodreshu. Ashtakaya Shodreshu. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke. Bhagavati Naishtiti. Bhagavati Naishtiti. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 11. Lord Krishna's entrance into Dwarka. Text 20. Naka, Nartaka, Gandharvaha, Sutra, Magatha, Nandinaha, Gayanti, Cha, Uttama Shloka, Chaitani, Adbhutani, Cha, Natanattaka Gandharva, Sutta Magada Vandina, चरितानि अद्भुतानि च
नटनर्तक गन्धर्वः
सुतमागतवन्दिनः
गायन्ति चोत्तमा श्लोका
चरितानि अद्भुतानि च
Films. Nata, dramatists. Nartaka, dancers. Gandharvaha, celestial singers. Suta, professional historians. Magadha, professional genealogists. Mandinaha, professional learned speakers. Gayanti, chant. Cha, respectively. Uttama Shloka, the Supreme Lord. Charitani, activities. Adbhutani, all superhuman. Cha, and. Translation and purport by His Divine is A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Translation. Expert dramatists, artists, dancers, singers, historians, genealogists, and learned speakers all gave their respective contributions, being inspired by the superhuman pastimes of the Lord. Thus they proceeded on and on. Translation and repetition. Expert dramatists, artists, dancers, singers, historians, genealogists, and learned speakers all gave their respective contributions, being inspired by the superhuman pastimes of the Lord. Thus, they proceeded on and on. It appears that 5,000 years ago, the society also needed the services of the dramatists, artists, dancers, singers, historians, genealogists, public speakers, etc. Dancers, singers, and dramatic artists mostly came from the Shudra community, whereas the learned historians, genealogists, and public speakers hailed from the Brahmana community. All of them belonged to a particular caste, and they became so trained in their respective families. Such dramatists, dancers, singers, historians, and genealogists and public speakers would dwell on the subject of the Lord's superhuman activities in different ages and millenniums, and not on ordinary events. Nor were they in chronological order. All the Puranas are historical facts, described only in relation with the Supreme Lord in different ages and times, as well as on different planets also. Therefore, we do not find in chronological order. The modern historians, therefore, cannot catch up the link, and thus they unauthoritatively remark that the Puranas are all imaginary stories only. Even 100 years ago in India, all dramatic performances were centered around the superhuman activities of the Supreme Lord. The common people would be very entertained by the performances of dramas, and yatra parties played wonderfully on the superhuman activities of the Lord, and thus even the illiterate agriculturist would be a participant in the knowledge of Vedic literature, despite a considerable lack of academic qualifications. Therefore, expert players in drama, dancers, singers, speakers, etc. are required for the spiritual enlightenment of the common man. The genealogist would give account completely of the descendants of a particular family. Even at the present moment, the guides in pilgrimage sites of India submit a complete account of the genealogical tables before a newcomer. This wonderful act sometimes attracts more customers to receive such important information. Thus, it is a wonderful transcendental Bhakti Vedanta purport from Madhyanta Vedanta. Chakshurmilitam Dena Svayachichivare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Gurudaya Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanami Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shunivadi Ashrate Shadani Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara
Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare.
Hare Krishna. So this was a continuation from the previous several verses where Bhagavatam is describing the wonderful reception that was given by the residents of Dwarka to Lord Krishna. As Lord Krishna is entering into Dwarka, this entire chapter is dedicated for how the residents of Dwarka received Lord Krishna. In the previous chapter we saw how the residents of Hastinapura bade farewell to the Lord, and here the arrival is being discussed, and there are different sections of the society that are welcoming the Lord in their own ways, and you can see that their behavior or the way in which they are welcoming the Lord is consistent with their role in the society. They are not artificially changing what they are doing for this new scene of welcoming the Lord. They don't change what they are doing. The singers are singing, the dancers are dancing, the learned historians, public speakers, they are speaking. Artists of various kinds are performing their respective arts. The dramatists are performing drama. They are not changing what they are doing, but they are doing it to welcome the Lord. So, even the previous verses, all the verses you have seen, they are all doing the respective functions, but doing it with the increased vigor, with increased eagerness and happiness upon receiving the news that the Lord is coming. They are doing the same activity. And the residents of Dwarka are already performing those activities for the pleasure of the Lord. But when the Lord is personally arriving, there is a greater energy, a greater enthusiasm. That does not mean that previously they were not having enthusiasm. In the transcendental flavors, there can be varieties. And those varieties, it does not mean that in the absence of that it was devoid of happiness, it was very dry. It's not like that. The feeling of separation from the Lord is one of the highest transcendental pleasures. And it is displayed to the highest degree by the gopis in Vrindavan. But when the Lord was absent in Dwarka, all those who were performing the respective duties were also performing that in Krishna consciousness. But there is an element of separation, not the same as how we feel, or we don't feel separation, we actually forget Krishna. When we are here in Bhagavatam, Dasa, we are in the temple, we are sometimes when we are performing service, I was going to say when we are performing service, but it's not always the case. Sometimes when we are performing service in the temple, we become conscious that, oh, I am doing this service for the Lord. And there is a sudden spurt of energy, enthusiasm that we can feel. But most other times, we are doing it as if it is automated, like a robot. We just do it, our mind is somewhere else, we are not even absorbed in what we are doing. Even though it may be enjoyable to someone else, if they look at you and say, you are doing that? Oh, I wish I could do that. We have medical groups. But we are doing that activity which is desirable by many others. And yet we are not even in that activity. What to speak of remembering or feeling separation from the Lord? We are not in that state. But the residents of Dwarka, when they are in Krishna consciousness all the time, but still, when the Lord personally arrives, these activities are performed with greater enthusiasm, greater energy. Sometimes we experience a fleeting glimpse that we get, and that gives us faith that yes, we are on the right path. Sometimes, even though we have very senior devotees with a lot of experience and spiritual energy available to guide us, over time, we don't see them in the same way. And the relationship becomes more mundane or it becomes robotic. And then suddenly some senior devotee comes from some other temple and we feel energized. Oh. And then we are able to carry on at least for a few weeks or a few days. Some of the suggestions that they provide us, we are able to implement. And like this, the temple has programs recognizing our weakness of merciful devotees mercifully traveling to various temples, giving us fresh energy, enthusiasm. What happened to my chair? But why is it that we are unable to maintain that state of energy and enthusiasm all the time? What is that state of mind that we are unable to inculcate? Let us see some of that. But before we see that, let us look at the system of Varnashrama Dharma that has been mentioned in this verse in the form of various Varnas, the Shudras and Brahmanas have been mentioned here, that how certain activities are apt or suited for individuals who are Shudras, and certain activities are suited for persons who are Brahmanas. So these divisions of society are not mundane divisions. Why? Because these are created by Krishna. And Krishna mentions this himself. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhakcha tasya kartaram imam vidhi akartaram avyayam. Chaturvarnyam, these four divisions of society, maya srishtam. I have created them. But how I have created them? Guna karma vibhakcha. These divisions are created based on guna and karma. It is not based on birth. It is based on the nature of the individual, the qualities that the individual has acquired. According to the three modes of material nature and work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of the system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. So, Krishna is fully transcendental. There is nothing material about Krishna. And thus the creation of Krishna is also transcendental. And later we'll see one quote that Srila Prabhupada in disciplic succession, this is referred to as Daivi Varnashrama system. Daivi Varnashrama. Daivi Varnashrama because Krishna is transcendental, his creation is transcendental. Just as Krishna is transcendental, those who are executing his order are also in the transcendental position. So devotees of the Lord are also transcendental. And those who are executing the Varnashrama as intended by Krishna, they are in a transcendental position. These three modes of material nature and work associated with them, the four divisions of human society, are created by me. So a person who is afflicted by the three modes of material nature, a conditioned soul, can also act on a transcendental platform, and by that, the work that he does not impact. It does not get further bound by the activities, because otherwise, every activity that we perform, which is outside, again is lost.
Internet, unstable internet.
No. Okay. Which is outside the Daivi Varnashrama. If there are activities outside of Daivi Varnashrama, such activities bind me. Whereas activities performed within the confines of the Daivi Varnashrama, the person does not have the result of that. That is the transcendental position of Daivi Varnashrama. Let us see a little bit more about this. Prabhupada says in the purport of this verse, human society is similar to any other animal society. But to elevate men from the animal status, the above mentioned divisions are created by the Lord for the systematic development of Krishna consciousness. So the purpose, there's a purpose behind Varnashrama, and the purpose is given here. The purpose is for systematic development of Krishna consciousness. In other words, let us say somebody says that, okay, I want to be a graduate, or I want to become expert in take computer science or information system or data science. It is possible for a person to, I'm saying, let's say a 6-year-old boy or one says that I want to become an expert neuroscientist. They can download all the information from the internet and possibly, but will it assure them of success in that endeavor? It won't assure them of success. It won't assure them of success because it's not systematic. Systematic processes, you get enrolled in a school, and then you graduate, go through the school, you graduate, then you go to the next school, then you graduate, you go to the next school, you graduate, finally you become a graduate student, graduate of something that you want to be. It's a systematic process. So similarly, Krishna has created this process for us. Just as there are various boards of education created by the governments, right? In India there is Central Board of Secondary Education, there is State Board, every state board has created its own board. Then there is ICSE. Then there is International School Board, which is applicable for students who are moving across countries. There is an international board also. If you study in international board, you can come here also, Brazilian studies, go back, and all that is possible. Like this, Krishna has created a board for us and is inviting us to enroll in that board. And that board is Devi Varnashrama. Because in that, these divisions, if we act according to the divisions of created by Devi Varnashrama, then there is systematic development of Krishna consciousness. And as Krishna is transcendental to the system of 4 divisions of human society, a person in Krishna consciousness is also transcendental to the divisions of human society, whether we consider the divisions of community, nation, or species. Then there is this wonderful verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the first canto, 2nd chapter, 13th verse, was quoted on Ramanamudi also. Atah Pungar Dujas Shrestha Varnashrama Vibhaksha Swanushti Tasya Dharmasya Samsiddhe Haritosha. So, Atah Pungar, therefore, Atah Pungar Dujas Shrestha, O greatest among the Brahmanas, Varnashrama Vibhaksha Swanushti Dharmasya Samsiddhe Haritosha. These divisions of human society, Varnashrama, Varna and Ashrama, the 4 divisions of society and the 4 spiritual orders. These divisions are created Swanishkitasya Dharmasya for the execution of their duties. How do you attain the highest perfection in those duties? There are duties given, no doubt. But how do you attain the highest perfection of those duties? And the highest perfection obtained by Haritosha, by working to please the Lord. If you are able to please the Lord through those activities, that is considered the highest perfection of those divisions of human society, whether it be the divisions of society and orders, the 4 divisions, the 4 orders. Both of them are designed for this purpose of systematic development of Krishna consciousness. And therefore, when you graduate from the class, that you have become expert in that. What is the definition of expertise? The definition of expertise is we have learned how to satisfy Krishna, and through every activity that we perform, we are pleasing Krishna. I am sitting, pleasing Krishna. I am breathing, I am pleasing Krishna. I am standing up, I am pleasing Krishna. I am honoring prasadam, pleasing Krishna. I am working to earn a livelihood, pleasing Krishna. I am getting into an argument, pleasing Krishna. To please Krishna. How to please Krishna with everything that you do? That is the purpose of the board of education. And what is the board of education? The perfection is how to please the Lord. is perfection. But what perfection are we looking after? Let us look at that. But before that, we see the translation. O blessed among Christ's born, it is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging the duties prescribed for one's own occupation according to the caste divisions and orders of life is to please the personality of God. We are also chasing perfection. Did anybody here say that we are not looking to become perfect? Everything we look to be better in whatever we do. But what is our goal and what is our definition of perfection? There is a difference between that and the Vedic version. And that is the biggest reason why we are unable to make tangible, rapid progress throughout our lives. Even though in the beginning, when we come to touch with Krishna consciousness, we will make some rapid progress for some time. But the same pace of progress is not able to sustain because we have not changed our definition of success. It's so deep-rooted in us. Very, very deep-rooted definition of success and definition of perfection. It is an anticipation that when I achieve something, that I will be something material. If I achieve something material, then I will be relieved of my burden, of my responsibilities, or I will be relieved of the situation that I am presently, where I am bound by external factors. And when that situation is achieved, then I can take up Krishna consciousness seriously. So there is always this postponement of real Krishna consciousness to be taken up. Because Krishna consciousness is not considered as achievement of perfection. It is not considered perfection at all by us. It is considered to be something which we can take up when I have actually achieved what I really consider to be perfection, which is perhaps discharging of our duties to our society, to our parents, or creating a safety net for retirement. Okay, let me get some money, let me have some retirement money. Then yes, I can take up Krishna. What if I fail? If I fail, I need to go back to the world and live in the world, and I have spent my money. Where is the money? There is no money, I have to work for it. So whatever it is that we set as a goal, that goal becomes a definition of success. But what psychologists who are studying this in the society, what they are saying is that those goals, when you achieve, the contentment that you expect actually doesn't come. And those who have gone through the Jignasa module, they have studied this. But it is so deeply ingrained that actually it doesn't really hit home. So let me give you a couple of quotes from this doctor, from this scientist. His name is Tal Ben-Shahar. Tal, I don't know how he says it, Tal Ben-Shahar, he's Tal Ben-Shahar. He's an Israeli American, and he was a Harvard graduate and a Harvard professor. He did it undergraduate degree in Harvard, as well as a PhD in Harvard, so he must have done masters also. And he became a lecturer at Harvard, and he was teaching the most popular or the largest populated class in Harvard. He taught two subjects. One is called positive psychology, and the other is called psychology of leadership. Both these have the maximum number of students. He must have been a very popular teacher. Or he must have been very good grades, easy grade, I don't know what is the reality. But he has written many books on the subject, bestseller books. And he coined this term called arrival fallacy. What's the term?
Arrival fallacy.
Arrival fallacy. Can you say it again?
Arrival fallacy.
One more time.
Arrival fallacy.
Arrival fallacy. Okay. What is this arrival fallacy? Arrival fallacy is this illusion that once we make it, that is, once we attain our goal or reach our destination, we will reach lasting happiness. This is an illusion. And this person has studied thoroughly. That is the subject, his lifetime of his study is this, that once you reach that goal, that you will get lasting happiness. It's not true. It's not true at all. This is not about information contained in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam we are talking about. That we will come to. But this is a mundane psychology professor. But simply by studying the behavior of people and interviewing them. It's very recent. These are not what this latest book is written in 2025 release. In 2025 is written his latest book. They started writing from 10 15 years back. So this is a very current research topic and this is this finding. And there are many articles written about this. So it's not only that he has studied this, but people have studied this work. Okay, so this is an article from psychologytoday.com. Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar, a positive psychology expert, coined the term arrival fallacy to describe reaching a particular goal and subsequently expecting lasting sense of fulfillment to result. But instead, finding that happiness, accomplishment, or satisfaction to be disappointingly elusive and fleeting, our brains are wired to adapt quickly to new circumstances, known as hedonic adaptation. Hedonic adaptation means no matter what goal you set for yourself to achieve, you will quickly adapt to that new goal and you no longer find that to be a state of perfection. What once seemed like the ultimate achievement quickly becomes the new normal and we set our sights on the next milestone, unknowingly perpetuating a cycle of discontent. A cycle of discontent. This is what is affecting our entire civilization today. It's a major problem. You see people are anxious and discontent because from our childhood we have been habituated to follow this cycle of setting a goal, achieving the goal, becoming hedonically adapted to that position and then going for the next goal. And then getting adapted to that position and then going for the next goal and so on. It just never ends. And it has been scientifically proven that it will kill the very. What is our education system? Our entire education system is actually teaching us how to set bigger and bigger and bigger goals. So that we remain in this perpetual cycle of adaptation causing cycle of discontent. You can see that in various social events. Take for example, anything. Say a politician winning an election. And then everybody who's rooting for the politician becomes so happy. Oh, my man has won. I'm rooting for this person, he has won or she has won the election. And then what happens? 3 years, 4 years, 5 years later, again there's election, again they're voting. It never ends. Now they want every time that person should win. But after some time, every time winning becomes a normal thing. That is also taken for granted. So now about everybody associated with that person should win. Not enough that that person wins. Everybody else who has circle should win. That is like politics. Similarly in sport, you can see. A person who's winning some major competition. They expect that, let's say in tennis, whose favorite sport, maybe boxing, I don't know, it's similar. But there is a tennis event and Wimbledon champion wins. But is that enough for the person? Or even for his fans or their fans? No, they want Grand Slam. They want multiple events to be won. Is it enough if they win one Grand Slam? Who has the most number of Grand Slams? Like that. It's never ending. Because that height that you got has now become the normal. And so there is a cycle of discontent. It is okay if there was some contentment with all of this. Maybe okay, it's okay, you can go after bigger and bigger and bigger things. After all, there will be that means more and more and more contentment, more and more and more pleasure. No. It's a cycle of discontentment. Let us see what is the outcome of this cycle of discontentment. This unnecessary suffering, it causes many problems. These are 4 problems that psychologists talk about. It causes strained relationships. Strained relationships because a person who is in the cycle of discontentment is always chasing something, ignoring the people around. There are actual real people who are trying to relate to this person and they are doing things to please the person because they want Hare Krishna. We have forgotten how to please Krishna. So we are trying to serve everybody around us. But there is no reciprocation. Why? Why is there no reciprocation? Why is it that when we serve someone, they are not able to relate back? Because they are not observing your service. They are observing their own milestone that they have set for themselves and they are chasing that. And they are caught in the cycle of discontentment themselves. And therefore, the mundane relationships that we have, the society, they are degrading. Because as the Daily Varnashrama has broken down, people have forgotten how to have a relationship with Krishna. We are trying to serve the person next to us. But is that person noticing or able to reciprocate? Sometimes maybe. But if you see the undercurrent and why there is an undercurrent of dissatisfaction that is rising in the society, it is because they are chasing their own goals. And they said they meet their goal, they are setting next goal and so on. There is a cycle of suffering. And as a negative self-perception, this happens that, oh, if I have set my goals, I have achieved my goals, but still I am not satisfied. Something must be wrong with me. I have served this person, but he is not noticing, he is not appreciating. Something must be wrong with me. So like this, in every situation, we are unable to find satisfaction. And there is a negative self-perception that builds. There is a story that we build that there is a problem with everybody else. There is also a problem with me. Everything is gone, everything is rotten. And leads to more suicide. Just last week there was a suicide at Boston University. One student, jumped off of under construction building in Boston University. And just a few years back there was a spate of suicides in WPI. So all this irreconcilable conflicts that persons are having is the result of continuous cycle of discontentment. There is loss of motivation. What is the use of what I am going to do? Anyway, once I reach the goal, I will not find any satisfaction. So let me not even try. So this leads to extreme laziness, disattachment to society, and dysfunction. So the person is not even contributing to the economy or not contributing to the society in any way. Just maybe sitting in the room and drinking alcohol, drug abuse. Why does drug abuse become such a big issue? 50 years back it was not such a big issue. And why is it that there is drugs flowing in from every part of the world? We see that wherever there is affluent society, there is a drug problem also. And wherever society is not affluent, they are producing the drugs. You see, there are only two kinds of places in the world today. Those who are producing the drugs and those who are consuming the drugs. That's all there is. Everywhere where there is no other employment, the employment becomes drug making. Where there is a lot of employment, people should be happy. But they are not happy. They are taking to drugs, thinking that will give them happiness. Loss of motivation. Constant dissatisfaction. Psychologists do provide some countermeasures, and then we need that to see what Bhagavatam says about it. Countermeasure. Be grateful for what you have right now. Be in the present. This is a countermeasure given by psychologists. There are many others. I just chosen 4. Be in the present means, yes, you can set goals, but primarily be in the present. What am I right now? Where am I right now? What do I have today? Who are the people that I am interacting with today? Be in the present. Redefine what success means. To us, to most people, success means setting a goal and achieving the goal. That is success. Setting a goal and achieving the goal. Can somebody say that getting a F in exam is success? What do you think? If you get an F, failure in exam, is it success? It's not success, not failure. Why? You set the goal to pass the exam. You set the goal to get an A or A plus, whatever the highest score is. That's the goal you set. Yeah, sometimes it's not subject to like alright, B's. Okay. But you set some goal, then you achieve the goal, that is called success. Correct? No. Should not be. According to psychology, that won't give you happiness. Redefine success. Redefine success. But how to redefine that success? You go read deeper and deeper. You find it's very shallow. Very shallow definition of, but it is there. Redefine success. It means live in the present. Take joy in small things. Find joy in the process. Success is to find joy. How do you redefine success? Is to find joy in the process, which means I am studying this subject. Let us say a particular subject. What subject do you like the most? Guru Ganesh, what do you like the most subject in your graduation? Huh? AI. You like AI. You can define success to be, if I get an A plus in AI, success. Or you can define success to be, today I spent 1 hour studying AI. That is success. You see the process. Today I spent 1 hour studying, what is the next second, somebody else, student behind. Are you student?
Yeah.
What do you like the most?
Business intelligence.
Business intelligence. Today I studied 1 hour business intelligence. Success. Success. The fact that you got to study what you like is success. Is it not success? You could have been one of the people who never got into business intelligence. Maybe that like the professor said, I only 5 slots, it's already taken. You don't get business intelligence. They could have said like that. But you are admitted to that. You got to study that. But does our society value that? Not as much. We have been conditioned to set the goal that if I get A plus in business intelligence, that is success. Whereas actually every day I am succeeding in studying business intelligence. But are we celebrating that? We're not celebrating it enough. We're not celebrating that enough. So these are the countermeasures given by psychologists. Now, if you observe this discontentment, what they extend, that when you are in a cycle of discontentment, what happens is when you are leading your entire life in discontentment, and you have this background, and after you graduate, you go into a job, sometimes there are elements of the job that you don't like, and yet you are doing every day, thinking that, oh, this is required for my children to graduate, because I have to pay for their college education, or I have to save for their marriage. But when the children graduate from the college, does it give you the sense of contentment? No, because there is a cycle of discontentment, it's not going to stop. So your entire life, you are going through a cycle of discontentment, thinking that at least in retirement, there will be contentment. Do you think it will stop there, the cycle? It doesn't stop at retirement. It doesn't stop at retirement. Why? Because this has now become a habit. Being discontent has become you. I have become a discontented person. So at retirement it doesn't stop. It only intensifies. It only intensifies. Previously you were too busy to notice that you are discontent, doing unnecessary things. But now those things are gone away. Only thing you notice is that, oh, I am discontented. So the suffering becomes amplified. So you see people who retire, it's not easy, their life is very difficult. You often see bitterness, loneliness, dejection, neglected feeling, the feeling of being neglected, all these become amplified. So retired life is not going to change anything. In fact, throughout the life, what is happening is, we are having some of these thoughts of discontentment, cycle of discontentment, are thoughts. These thoughts, they become impressions in our mind, and this becomes who we are. We become that person. Every negative impression that we have, or every fault that we find in someone, by accumulating those thoughts and those becoming impressions in our head, we become those very persons that we find fault with, or situations that we find fault with, all of them become us. This is described in Bhagavatam. It's described in Bhagavatam. And the way this is described, I'll cite 2 verses for us. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. What is this verse? Everyone is familiar with this verse? Yes. So, what this is saying is that just as the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, right? So it's continuously passing. What does it mean? It means our body is continuously changing. It means we are accepting a new body every moment. The spirit soul is accepting a new body every moment. Okay? So, fact 1. Fact 1 is the spirit soul is accepting a new body every moment. Alright, keep this fact. Keep this fact here. Alright, we'll see another fact now. Another fact. Whatever state of mind whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. What is this verse? Yam Yam Bhavi is Param Bhavi. So whatever state of being one remembers when one quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. So what is fact number 1?
Our body is changing, physical body is changing, mind stays, soul stays.
Yeah. So our soul is accepting a new body every moment. Body is constantly changing. What is changing is actually body is going from one body to another body, another body, another body. So all the lifetime is happening. Therefore, at the end of life also will happen. That is fact 1. Fact 2. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state will attain. So what? We are quitting our body every moment. And we are entering our body every moment. So what does it mean? It means that the next moment what body you get is determined by the state of being in the current moment. Is that not the conclusion? Every moment you have a state of being. Currently you have a state of being. That state of being is determining the next moment what body you get. Next moment. In other words, we are shaping our own body. Every moment, we are shaping our body and mind system. We are shaping ourselves. Similarly, it just continues at the time of death. What we call it the time of death. Same thing is happening. That is what this first verse is saying. A sober person is not divided by such a change because it will be happening throughout the life. So the cycle of discontentment. The cycle of discontentment and the state of being discontented, if we choose to be in that state, then what is happening? The next moment the body that we get is going to be discontented body. It is not going to be a very happy body. The happiness and the qualities of modes of nature, whatever it is that we are getting, those are all based on the state of being that we have now. The next moment will get body like that. And so when that becomes a habit, it is like a essence of discontentment. It is, how the Bhagavatam is called the essence of Vedic literature. Saram Saram Samudram. Like that, the worst thing that we think about other people, the worst criticisms that we have about other people, the worst narratives that we have about ourselves. Imagine the essence of that. It becomes solidified, it becomes concentrated. And that is the body you get the very next moment. And then you take that and you further distill it. You further process it like petroleum processing. Heat it various level degrees and take the best part of it. And then that becomes your next moment. Like this, your body is constantly evolving and getting molded based on the thoughts that we choose to give weightage to. And we consider this the highest perfection. Highest perfection. And it's all happening because they're setting some goals, some idea of success, the idea of perfection, which is misaligned completely with what Krishna has given. Krishna doesn't want us to be like this, to go continuously into solidification of discontentment, solidification of negativity, cycle of negativity. Krishna doesn't want that. He wants us to be like him because we are like him. Qualitatively, we are like Krishna. Our nature is to be eternally happy. But why we are not reaching that state? Because we are not following the board of education we set up for us. In this verse, Prabhupada is saying, the verse Atahapumir Pujasteshta that we quoted, in the best interest of human society, there must be such divisions of life. Otherwise, no social institution can grow in a healthy state. What divisions of it? The Varnashrama. And in each and every one of them, each and every one of the above mentioned divisions of life, the aim must be to please the supreme authority of the personality of Godhead. This institutional function of a society is known as Varnashrama Dharma, which is quite natural for civilized life. So the goal, when the aim is to please supreme personality of Godhead, that is intent. That is the intent, and that is in the present moment. It is not a future state. It is a present. The Ivi Varnashrama is designed in such a way that you are in the present, you are incentivized to be in the present. Why? The perfection is to please the Lord. Is that a future state? That's not a future state, that's present. in my current activity that I am doing, I am hearing, sitting here hearing in the class. Present activity. If I am doing that with the intent to please the Lord, then that is highest perfection. It is the difference in the Vedic perspective and how I have forgotten that mankind is suffering. The Vedic perspective, the current moment when you act with the intent to please the Lord, as simple as that is called highest perfection. It is not for the artificial domination of one division or the other. When the aim of life, that is realization of absolute truth, is missed by too much attachment for indriya priti or sense gratification, as already discussed here before, the institution of varnashrama is utilized by selfish men to oppose the artificial predominance over the weaker section. The opposite of this is, of Devi Varnashrama, indriya priti, is the way psychologists would give us a solution. Be in the present, enjoy the moment. Okay, what is the moment? I am at a restaurant, I am eating food, oh such nice tasty food. Yes, you can enjoy the moment. Definitely it is better than brooding about some future that why this server did not take my order properly. Or why is it that such and such a person didn't come with me for dinner. Oh, there's food in front of me, enjoy it. As simple as that. This is what psychologists will say. But that is not going to last. Because that food, how much time can you eat? Not much. And after eating that food, you will have some after effects. So, actually, physically speaking, enjoying every moment. Although psychologically, if you can do that, yes, but that's not possible. Physically, it is not possible. Physically, it is difficult to enjoy the moment. Whereas, serving the Lord every moment is actually possible. It is actually possible. Pleasing the Lord every moment is actually possible. Because it's a function of the soul. That activity of pleasing the Lord is not happening based on material circumstances. It is happening from the spirit soul, which is not affected by any material circumstance. And this is why the perfection, the highest perfection of life, as per the Vedic vision, is possible, is actually possible for a human being to achieve. In the Kali Yuga, or in the age of Kvala, this artificial predominance is already current, but the senior section of society know it well that the divisions of caste and orders of life are meant for smooth social intercourse and high thinking self-realization, not for any other purpose. Herein, the statement of Bhagavatam is that the highest aim of life, or the highest perfection of the institution of Varnashrama Dharma, is to cooperate jointly for the satisfaction of the Supreme Law. This is another very important point. It is not simply that I am just sitting in one corner and trying to please the Lord. That is not how Varnashrama Dharma is designed. It is cooperation between the society, members of the society. There is a head, there are the arms, there is a belly, and there is a neck. All these four are needed for the functioning of the body. Can a body function just with the belly? Cannot do anything. Can the body function just with belly and legs? No, you won't know what to do. Can a body function just with the brain? Only brain is there. It will be put in a jar, maybe inside a museum. Okay, that's something that maybe is fine. The image of a brain in the jar, not smiling on our face. Otherwise, like that. So, the brain is in a jar. Can it do anything? Cannot do anything, right? It requires hands, legs, and belly. Everything is required. So, that is the society. The Brahmanas are considered with the brain, the Kshatriyas are considered with the arms, the Vaishyas are compared to the belly, and the Shudras are compared to the legs. They have to cooperatively work. Not that the brain says, I am on top of you, therefore I am more important, I am telling you what to do, do what I am telling you. Not like that. The brain has to be humble that I cannot do it, I can only tell you, please do it. And the legs have to say, yes, I can do, but I cannot think well, so I need you. So these four divisions of society are supposed to work collaboratively, collectively, with a common aim. What is the common aim? To please the Lord, to please Krishna. Then every activity, every moment, in every stage of life, there is success. Because success is defined in that moment. It is not a future state. There is another verse, I will skip this, but okay. This is the verse that Prabhupada often quotes. It is in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in a conversation between Ramananda and Lord Chaitanya. When Lord Chaitanya asked Ramananda, tell me from what you know, what is the perfection of human life? How do you get perfection for human life? And Chaitanya and Ramananda starts with this first verse. Varnashrama charvata purushena parakumar Vishnu aradhane pantha nanyat tattoshakarma. So there is no other way if you want to please the Lord. How do you please the Lord? Because we are talking about pleasing the Lord. How do you please the Lord? So Ramananda starts with this definition that if you want to please the Lord, then you must execute proper execution of prescribed duties in the system of Varna and Ashrama. Proper execution of prescribed duties in the system of Varna and Ashrama is the way to please the Lord. Whereas what has happened in our society is that even those who might have actually acquired material modes of nature of a Kshatriya, when they go through the education system, they become trained on how to become a good Shudra. That is the education system. Our education system is teaching us what it is to do what? How to be good employees, how to be technically qualified, so that you can hit a hammer nicely on the nail. According to Prabhupada's words, that's engineering education. What is engineering education according to Prabhupada? Learning how to hit a hammer on a nail nicely. You can say, I have a machine that does it. Yeah, that's just nicely hitting the hammer. Right? You're not doing it with hand. Just stand here and see the machine do it. I'll put a program, I'll put a code, I'll put it on it. It's the same thing. It's just nicely. How do you nicely hit a hammer on a nail? Oh, I don't even take the hammer. Robotic arm takes the hammer. Right? Nail is there, it is fixed to the jaws of something like that. The hammer is robot. I write some Python code which goes and updates the core of that robotics. It's all nicely empty. At the end of it, what do you become? An employee of another company. That is Shudra. Although you might have been born with Kshatriya qualifications, right? You might have achieved that, or Brahmana qualifications sometimes possible. Although Shudra Sambhava, nobody is born with Brahmana qualifications today. But whatever little you have Brahmanical qualities are killed in the modern education system. So it's very difficult for us to execute properly the prescribed. But if somebody can do that, that is by the way of Nashma. That's the best way to please. Every man should perform his occupational duty in light of his particular tendency. Those who properly execute the prescribed duties live peacefully and are not disturbed by material conditions. So if a person truly understands what is my inclination, and according to that, you understand what is the varna to which I belong, and you live according to the prescribed duties of that varna, then what happens? They live peacefully. There is no cycle of discontentment. And they are not disturbed by material conditions because they know this is what my prescribed duty is. And in this duty, if I do this is what is coming, it's okay. There is no problem because definition of success was in every moment achieved. There is no, it is not that I am waiting for some success at the end. Right? It's not that, oh, I have to go startup has to succeed, or 5 years later I have to exit, something has to happen. No! Every moment of the journey is definition of success. Why? Because every moment you have pleased the Lord. If you have not done that, it is zero. Because in the world, unless you achieve success, it is all zero. A startup which almost got acquired is a failure startup. You may have gone all the way, but the day before you were supposed to be acquired, some news came out in your stock or something went down, and sometimes it happens. There is a company that is about to be acquired, and somebody in the company leaks their source code, puts it in some public GitHub or public domain. That's all, the IP is lost. Whatever IP you are working for, that is suddenly lost. There is no value in your company anymore, right? So all the journey that you did, waiting for some success, mentally 1 second like that. The definition of success is what happened. This person, even if that was acquired successfully, that becomes hedonic conditioning. You want the next success, next success, next success. A person who gets promoted, next promotion, next promotion. That's how the society is expecting. 5 years after the promotion, he got promoted 3 times before, that is forgotten. Right? So, but in Vedic version, none of this will happen. That's our choice. Do we want to be in cycle of discontentment, or do we want to be chasing perfection every moment? Success every moment. Which do we want? That's our course. That is our course. That defines who we are becoming. The next moment, what body we get, what mind we get, how is the mind being shaped. That is dependent on what state of being we are now, and that is based on what thoughts we live, Very interesting. To attain perfection, one must make devotional service the center of life. You see, people already have different nature. Already is there. Therefore, divisions of life already exist. In every society, Prabhupada always says this. That in every society, he goes to Russia and says, you have got administrators, you have got professors, the thinking people, you have got laborers in the factory, you have got, perhaps in Russia there were no capitalists at the time, but in America there were capitalists, there were business owners. So these divisions are already existing. What is missing? Is Krishna is not in the center of life. Krishna is not in the center of life. That is what Varnashrama Dharma really is. So if you want the true definition of success, if you want the perfection, highest perfection, then the highest perfection happens in Haritosha, or in pleasing the Lord. So as these different people in Bhagavatam, they are all welcoming the Lord. They are all doing whatever their Varna is prescribed duties as per their Varna is, as per the Varnashrama Dharma, whatever is the prescribed duty, they are doing that only. But they are doing that with Krishna in the center, with the purpose of Haritosha. That is what they are doing. So that is the verse. Any questions? Any thoughts? Hare Krishna.
Guru, what is the next step that we can take in following the Varnashrama Dharma and how?
To attain perfection, first of all, you have to define success. You have got perfection, you have got a plan to attain perfection. That perfection has to, one must make devotional service center of life. That is the next step. That is the only step. If you make devotional service center of life, then everything else follows. That means in that moment you have attained perfection. That one moment, in this moment, it is not about making grand plans. As I am sitting here, this moment, I want nothing but to please Krishna. That's all I want. I want to please Krishna. I want to please Krishna. I want to please Krishna. That's all. That is the plan.
In the purport, the last line it says it will attract more customers.
I'm sorry?
In the purport, like in the
The original purport.
yes,
Okay, yeah.
in the last line it says it will attract more customers.
Attract more customers, yes.
Yes, so the customers is referring to devotees.
No. This is just not a matter. You go to Taj Mahal, there will be various guides. But he's giving example of pilgrimage. So let's say you go to, I'm not experienced it myself, but I'm just taking the Taj Mahal example because when we go to Vrindavan, I can find such guides. They are not there. But it must be there. I think in Somnath, yes, they were there in Somnath, very difficult person. But when we went to Somnath temple, there were many guides who were standing there. And any normal person who goes there, they will say this Somnath temple was constructed by King so and so. And then they will give the genealogical history of the king. And then from that king they will give some 25 generations after, 25 generations before. And people are standing, how do you remember all this? How do you know all this? Right? So they become stunned with this factual information and they get attracted to that particular guide. So that's what he's talking about. And that guide is he's been accumulating the knowledge for a long time. This is profession. So these are the professional historian or professional speaker, like the examples he's giving. They are not like some very high people in the society. But in that temple, in that place, there is a significance to that person because he's performing a valuable role in society. That's what Prabhupada is saying. So these are all different functions that are needed in the society. Even though the society may not look at them as some major contributor, but every person who is playing a role according to the social need of, as per the Varnashrama, has a function in the society collaboratively. One is trying to please the Lord. So that guy who is there in that holy place of pilgrimage, in his mind, is pleasing the Lord by relating those histories. Yes, he gets some money for it. But what should be his goal? I'm standing there in Somnath temple. I should be pleasing the Lord. I'm doing this for the Lord. Right? So all the sections of the society were performing the role for pleasing the Lord. That's why the drama or the, whatever performances were done were all done with respect to relating to the Lord's pastime. So if there's a stage skit, rural skit that is performed in various villages, they are all being done by relating to the Lord's pastimes, the Puranas. Because they're such wonderful, extraordinary activities, they're actually wonderful to hear. And and see, witness the drama. And entertainment, that is how society was entertained. There were several other societies that for entertainment, with no time. So this entertainment is also valid. It's prasadam entertainment. Because we are hearing the stories of the Lord, which are extraordinary. Extraordinary stories. So yes, we can be entertained by that, no problem. There are people to entertain, and the audience can be entertained. Cooperatively, leading the Varnashrama Dharma with the goal of pleasing Krishna, every moment of the entertainment, every scene, every act, you are feeling contentment, satisfaction, highest perfection has been achieved in Krishna consciousness. Any other questions? Let's go.
Prabhu, you mentioned that Lord is transcendental and everything that comes from Him is transcendental. So the material world is also coming from the Lord. So how should we
It's transcendental. As far as the Lord is concerned, it's all spiritual. For the Lord, it is spiritual. But we associate with modes of material nature. We associate with that, with the matter. And therefore, we fall down. We are in a fallen condition because of that. There is the matter and spirit. When the matter is dovetailed, the cause of the absolute. I remember this slide, a quote from Prabhupada. The matter is dovetailed with the cause of the absolute, it becomes spiritualized. So there is no such thing as matter as such. It is because it is not being used in service of the Lord, it displays, manifests material qualities. The same container when it is used for arati is spiritualized. The same container when it is used for eat some bhoga is matter. Same container. It is the same body. That is why Prabhupada's body there is samadhi, it is not burned. Because every cell in his body is spiritualized. It is transcendental. It is not the spirit in the sense that it never decays. No, the body decays. But still, it is spiritualized for a pure devotee. So, Tadiya, everything connected to the Lord is when it is in relation to the Lord, it is transcendental. Our lives can also become transcendental because we utilize all the matter, all circumstances around us to serve the Lord.